Once there were a woman and a man who lived together. They were engaged in a monogamous relationship. The woman daily left their home to go to work at her place of employment. The husband, meanwhile, stayed at home to watch the dog. One day, after a considerable day at work and a rough happy hour, the woman of the house returned home in a rage. She screamed at her husband, throwing pot and pans, denigrating him as a loafer and a freeloader and sloth. "Why don't you ever do anything?" she proclaimed. The husband replied, "I would, but who will watch the dog?" And at the thought of being compelled to surrender her career as her husband worked, the offended lady divorced him. Whose fault was it? Before you make your assessment, note this: the husband was a minority, not simply by being a male, but by being an introvert. The woman sought another mate, but her pride had been so irrevocably bruised that she could not tolerate the thought of dating another loafer. In every photograph she saw, every feminist poster depicting a bruised woman, her ego found solace and rage. So she decided to embrace what was called equity theory. She had heard rumor of a thing called gender norms. Apparently, men who slept with many women were applauded by society as alpha males, whilst women who slept with many men were deplored as sluts. The origin of this mentality apparently originated in the Bible, though only certain Christian sects really profess the alpha male idea. Fancying this unfair, the woman decided that she would settle the score. She did this by sleeping with an alpha male, yet to do this she had to use the alpha male's best friend, an introvert and a virgin. Apparently, the way to settle the score was to up the alpha male's game. For every point that she gained with him, he gained one with her. But in her mind, the situation was reversed. For every point that he gained with her, she gained one with him. In this way, at least, she felt that she had the last word, even if the last word that she had was him. Meanwhile, the alpha male's friend remained at zero. This way, equity was achieved, and the woman was no longer a slut. Obviously, the alpha male was still one up on the girl. No matter what she tried, so she moved on. She found a young man to stay with who was average. So she went drinking with him one night. His best friend drove them to the bar and drove them home. As the new boyfriend was asleep, passed out from drinking, the best friend made a move on the girl. She consented to sex, and in the boyfriend's dream, he could hear their love work. In the morn, the best friend had left. The boyfriend came to, awaking, and he exclaimed, "I had the most awful nightmare. I dreamt that you slept with my best friend." And to which the girl replied, "Do not worry, he is not your best friend anymore." The woman ended up suing the best friend and imprisoning him for having been sober at the time of seduction. This helped her to pay for her divorce, for she had already married the cuckolded young man. Finally, she decided just to start talking to a nice boy that she met one fortuitous night in the parking garage of her university. The young boy was an introvert. He was a charmer and a gentleman with very stern but malleable morals. He saw the best in most people, including his troubled extroverted friend. So he and the girl related in respect to their own troubled extroverted friends. At least she related with the stories of the troubled extrovert. The introverted young man had long lived in the shadow of his extroverted brother. He did not mind to too great a degree. He admired his friend despite his absence of envy for the extrovert's polyamorous lifestyle. Whenever the two attended a party, social gathering, or drum circle, the extrovert managed to attract the attention of every young lady that the introvert tried talking to. But the introvert did not mind. He knew that one day he would find a girl who would love the introvert for who he really was. Monogamy was the name of the introvert's game. One day, the introvert found such a person. She is the heroine of the story. He courted her for a month in writing, finally daring to say that the time was ripe for the two to meet. A few times they missed their appointments, chiefly owing to emotional distress, either on the part of the boy or the girl's extroverted friends having mental breakdowns. Finally, they met again, at a concert that the introvert and the extrovert were both playing in, and yet again the extrovert got the girl. This time the introvert did mind. He told himself, "That man is a douche," and he refused to ever speak to the extrovert again. Do you remember what I said about the virgin's tally remaining at zero? So it remained. Yet the introvert got his hopes up when the young woman told him that she wanted to meet with him again. To the introvert's chagrin and travail, the young woman was in a rage. "How dare you hurt him by betraying him like that? What gave you the right to abandon him? I loved him." And to this the man replied, What gave you the right to love him? He betrayed me, and you abandoned me." To this she fumed, "He made me happy!" Of course, this was only literally true. The extrovert had made her happy until she realized that he did not love her. This came around the time that he forgot her birthday, for despite his being an extrovert, he was trying to develop his introversion by ignoring her systematically. And the introvert replied, "Be that as it may, I was left unhappy, and surely he expected me to be happy for him and for you, yet allow me to explain what had gone wrong." I would have expected him to say, "I am sorry, but this is my best friend. He will be devastated to learn that you do not love him, as he had so hoped for so long. I must stand beside him at this difficult time." It would drive him mad to learn it by seeing his own best friend with his imagined lover. And I would have expected you to say, "I am sorry. I cannot allow you to betray your own best friend. I was wrong to have led him on and thought to use him and the opportunities he provided by his hospitality in order to get to someone like you." And I thought both of you would say, "He deserves better." And the woman simply gave the introvert the finger and stormed off.